him life.
With AV Pop Culture again, and I hope you are ready because spooky season is in full swing here on the channel, and that means it is time for me to come back once again and rank and count down the 31 greatest horror films of all time. And trust me, my list is going to spark just a little bit of debate. So pop that tape in, I got you, let's go do this. All right, the 31 greatest horror films of all time, ranked, counting down, starting at 31. And trust me, this spooky season ritual is much different than my last year's list, but that does not mean that it is going to come without controversy and debate. We've got everything from gothic vampires to classic and modern hits. It is all here. This is what I consider as a horror filmmaker, a horror fan, a horror writer to be the best horror films of all time. Let's jump in with number 31 on the list, and we are headed all the way back to 1958 with Horror of Dracula. Now, Hammer Studios reinvented Dracula for a new era with this film. You've got Christopher Lee here. You've got Peter Cushing as Van Helsing, gothic castles, technicolor blood, seductive vampires. It is all there. It brought vampires back into pop culture and cemented Hammer Horror as a powerhouse in horror films and British cinema. A little bit of trivia in this, though. As badass as Christopher Lee is as Dracula, he only has about 13 lines of dialogue in this movie. It does not matter. His presence alone carried the terror. This is an absolute classic. It had to be on the list. Horror of Dracula comes in at number 31. All right, at 30, let's let the controversy begin because I have 3 movies tied in this spot because I just don't see a way to separate these 3, and depending on the day that you ask me, I would tell you either one of these is better or I like it better than the other one. And so coming in at 30, we have a tie with Dog Soldiers, An American Werewolf in London, and The Howling. 3 legendary werewolf movies. Dog Soldiers pits soldiers against werewolves in the Scottish Highlands. It's a survival type horror. I've often said it's Predator with werewolves. Very similar, though Predator is a far superior film. One of my favorites of all time, regardless of genre. But you also have American Werewolf. John Landis directed. You have a mix of comedy, horror, and Oscar-winning makeup effects here with the werewolf change from Rick Baker. The Howling then dives in more to a mysterious community of werewolves. Joe Dante at the helm of that. All of them are great. Together they cover everything from satire to straight-out terror. It gives you the best of what the werewolf subgenre has to offer between these 3 films. Rick Baker winning his first Oscar for Best Makeup. There is a lot to love here. I don't know how you separate them, so I'm not gonna. They all 3 share the spot at number 30. Now at number 29, we have, yes, maybe one of the newest horror films on my list, so that's gonna tell you something. We're going to 1996 with Scream. Oh man, teenagers stalked by Ghostface, a mass killer who knows the rules of horror movies, very meta, and Wes Craven sort of revolutionized the slasher genre and horror in general by going with this whole meta idea, poking fun at the horror cliches while still giving us genuine scares. Drew Barrymore in this, she was heavily marketed as the star, but she was, as we know, killed off in the first few minutes of the movie, and that whole iconic and shocking opening scene just made it great right out of the gate. You had no idea what you were in for. Scream gets the credit for redefining the genre with meta commentary, but there is another movie that's on this list that may have done it first from the same guy. But Scream earns the spot here at number 29. Now, as I told you, I am constantly finding horror movies, new and old, reevaluating all that stuff. And in the case of this one, it's new old stock because somehow, despite growing up in this time frame and being a horror fan, I missed 1981's Dead and Buried. And boy, should I have not missed this, but I am glad I found it over the past year. You've got a sleepy seaside town, Potter's Bluff, where they have a big secret, and that is that the dead will not stay dead, and the locals just may be involved. It is creepy, atmospheric, has more fog than the fog, was done by the creators of Alien. I mean, this thing had a big twist ending that's right out of the Twilight Zone. You had the legendary Stan Winston doing the gruesome makeup here. You had an insane fire gag that is one of the most intense ever put to film. Just a hell of a movie, well acted, heavy, atmospheric. This is the road into Potter's Bluff. There is no way out. Dead and Buried comes in at number 28. At number 27 is one, again, I knew about this movie. I had seen this movie, but I had forgotten about it. I did the list last year, hadn't seen this movie in forever. It got a new 4K, and I watched it, and I was like, oh yes, I love this movie. How did I not think of Humanoids from the Deep from 1980? Roger Corman behind it. Mutant fish emerge from the ocean to attack a small fishing village. Pure B-movie exploitation. Sleazy because they have more than reproduction on their mind. They're going to get it any way they want it, let's just say. And so it is all fishmen all the time. Sleazy, gory, unforgettable in its audacity. Even caused the director to quit. Corman didn't care. He came in and finished it his way. The monster suits in this were actually created by Rob Bottin, who did The Thing a couple years later. That made him only like 19 or 20 when he did Humanoids from the Deep. Absolutely crazy. A must-watch creature feature. Humanoids from the Deep checks in at number 27 all time. Now, number 26 on this list is in 1982, and in 1982, you had a team up for the ages because you had Stephen King, and you had George Romero, and you had Creepshow. Man, an anthology of horror tales stylized after the old EC comics, a story of vengeful fathers, monsters, living corpses, a heavy influence on me, so much so in my horror anthology film, creature feature, the critics from like Dread Central and Bloody Disgusting actually compared it and said it was an homage to films like Creepshow, a huge, huge moment in my life because I love this movie so much. It's great for that marriage of George Romero and Stephen King blending pulp horror and terror with comic book flair. You even have Stephen King himself starring in the movie. Golly gee, maybe not the best idea, but a lot of fun. Creepshow has to be on any list like this. It comes in at number 26. Now, number 25 is when I'm really going to start. Now, all the rankings, where they're at on this list, may cause some hand-wringing out there, and the absence of some films is probably going to cause some debate. But this film, I know, is very divisive, and I consider it to be one of the best horror films ever made, and maybe the second best, if not the best, in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I was going to say second best. Wes Craven's New Nightmare from 1994. A deeper, darker Freddy breaks into the real world, haunting actress Heather Langenkamp, Wes Craven, Robert Englund. Very meta. This was Wes Craven's dry run for Scream, but he took it a step further because in this movie, Freddy is a stand-in for the devil himself. We even see a glimpse into what Wes Craven said was supposed to be hell. And we had kind of contained that evil in our storytelling, and now it was loose because they stopped making Nightmare on Elm Street movies with Wes Craven. Let that be a lesson to you. It's clever, it's meta, it's reinventive, it's scary, and it was really the first horror film to call itself a reboot type of thing. Wes Craven's New Nightmare, one of my favorites. Dig into it deep and let it settle in on you. It comes in at number 25. Now, I didn't really check to see, but now 24 might actually be the newest film on this list. I don't know. I can't remember. But there is no doubt that The Conjuring from 2013 deserves to be on this list. Rated R. Just on horror scariness alone. It's not gory. It doesn't have a bunch of foul language. It has no nudity or sexual situations. It's just damn intense and scary. Paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren face off against a demonic presence based on a true story. It's great. James Wan revived the haunted house genre with old school scares and atmosphere that were so scary they made this rated R. Absolutely just a masterclass in haunted house movies. The Conjuring had to be on this list. Comes in at number 24. Now, number 23 on this list is actually famous for bankrupting a whole studio canon. You have Tobe Hooper's Lifeforce from 1985. Space vampires, London, Hammer film vibes, sci-fi vibes, horror vibes, life-draining energy. This vampire who walks around naked all the time, sucking the life force right out of everyone. There's probably some metaphors all around there. Tobe Hooper just absolutely went for broke, and he landed on it as far as canon was concerned, because you have a wild mix of sci-fi, horror, and spectacle. At the time, the budget ballooned bigger than the budget for Return of the Jedi. Think about that. Patrick Stewart actually even appears in this movie in a small supporting role. I absolutely love this movie for the absolute crazy factor in this. It's all over the place. Beautiful Matilda May. This thing is rocking. Lifeforce, one of my favorites. It comes in at number 23. Now, from space vampires to real old school by the book vampires, we go to 1992. Bram Stoker's Dracula. Awesome. Coppola's lush adaptation. Gary Oldman stars as the tragic Count Dracula, and he pulls it off in all kinds of forms, from suave and debonair to scary, old, wrinkly with crazy hair. He's all over the place, and Gary Oldman was the perfect person to do that. He is a chameleon. It is great. It's stylized visuals, operatic type of performances, except for maybe from Keanu, who I love anyway. I love Keanu. But what gets me here is they stuck to the practical effects. Coppola insisted all effects be done in camera, no digital tricks. I love that. Yes, let's get back to doing that. One of my favorite vampire films of all time. It could be higher on this list. I admit this one probably could be higher. Doesn't matter. This is the best of the best, and Bram Stoker's Dracula is definitely part of that. It comes in at number 22. Now, number 21 on this list, we're going vampire again, and this is one that's moved down a little. Not in overall vampire films for me so much. It's still very high, but just in the pantheon of horror films, The Lost Boys from 1987 is coming in at the 21 spot. You got Corey and Corey. This thing is all 80s. You've got Joel Schumacher out here. You've got that 80s attitude, killer soundtrack. Kiefer Sutherland, one of the coolest vampires ever. Man, there is so much going on here, and it's just so 80s, and it helps solidify the Coreys as the two Corey phenomenon. They're just superstardom back in the 80s. This movie is as 80s as you can get, and surprisingly scary and gory. Terrifying to me, vampires flying has always scared me. That I have literally had nightmares about this movie because you can't get away from them if they fly. I love The Lost Boys. it had to be on this list. Of course, it always will be for me. It comes in at number 21. Now, another new addition to this list for this year, a change from last year. There's a lot of changes from the one last year. You can check that out and compare them. It's very, very different. The Stepfather from 1987. I had seen this movie before, but I had just forgotten it. So it was like a first watch all over again. My buddy Daniel over at the Cobwebs channel, he mentioned it. I got the 4K. I watched it. Incredible. Terry O'Quinn. He plays a man who is a serial killer who kills his families whenever they disappoint him and reinvents himself over and over again, looking for the perfect, picket fence American life here. His performance in this was Oscar caliber. From a director, writer, filmmaker, I'm telling you, it was. This movie's extra creepy because it was inspired by real-life murderer John List, who basically killed his family and disappeared for the next 20 years. So the performances in here are chilling, great fall atmosphere in this movie. The Stepfather is everything you want from a movie like this. It comes in at number 20. Now, number 19 on this list is where I'm going to start catching grief again. I do not care. I love this movie. I could put it higher on any given day of the week, but Friday the 13th, 2009 comes in at number 19. The remake, Marcus Nispel, Derek Mears, who I got to know. He actually purchased movies from me. Yeah, maybe that makes me biased. I love Jared Padalecki. I don't care. I don't see this as a reboot. I see this as like a sequel almost to the first couple of movies because they reference the first couple of movies in this film. And the first 15 minutes of it is a hell of a standalone Friday the 13th movie on its own. But I love Jared Padalecki in here. Derek Mears trained with Navy SEALs for this movie so that he looked more tactical and perfect in his hunting style as Jason. Very, very aggressive Jason. Crazy kills in this one. Jared Padalecki is a great lead in here. People are like, oh, I don't like the characters. They're this, that. How many great characters do you remember as great actors or characters development in any Friday the 13th movie? Get out of here with that noise. Friday the 13th is awesome. 2009, they got it right. It deserved its own sequels. It deserves a spot on my list at number 19. Now, number 18 on this list is one that for the longest time, I just have to say I really didn't like it. It was a Halloween movie with no Michael Myers, and I am talking Halloween 3 Season of the Witch from 1982. Now, it's very fashionable these days to say you always liked it, but I was there. A lot of you didn't like it. I was a kid. I grew up with this movie. A lot of you didn't like it. I was like, where's Michael Myers? But as the years go by, the more and more I like this movie. Now, I'm a big Tom Atkins fan, so that always kind of swayed it a little bit for me. But I'm a big, ancient aliens, conspiracy, all this stuff. So you get the Stonehenge thing. You get that just sort of all of that weirdness, the Celtic stuff going on, the Silver Shamrock jingle, which was set to the tune of the London Bridge is falling down. Go back and listen to it and that'll get stuck in your head. Though it was hated a lot at its release because it didn't have Michael Myers, it is now favored for its standalone weirdness, and Tom Atkins literally slinging his Johnson around in this movie. Trying to clean it up over here, Fuzz. I love Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Incredible 4K by Scream Factory on this movie. It comes in at number 18. Now, number 17, I catch a lot of grief for saying that I think this might be my favorite zombie film of all time. And no, I'm not talking Dawn of the Dead or Night of the Living Dead or any of that. I am talking Return of the Living Dead from 1985. The plot on this one, punk kids, toxic gas, tar man. This gas reanimates the dead who crave brains. This is the movie that established zombies eating brains, and it tells you why in the movies. It is a great and wild mix of comedy, horror, that sort of 80s punk rock attitude, the practical effects with the tar man. You see my hat, some of the greatest ever, just absolutely awesome. There's some trivia here. Linnea Quigley's scene where she does the cemetery striptease completely nude. Now, a lot of people are quick to say that it was censored with a prosthetic. It was, partly. Now, I've talked to her before at a convention we were both guests at, but you can go look this up. This thing was actually shot 3 different ways. It was shot before she did any grooming there, which would have been normal for the 80s, okay? And then she went and got a haircut, let's say, and it was shot again, only to find out that they could see more that they were trying to cover up now that she went and got a haircut. So then they did a prosthetic over it to cover certain areas while she was dancing and flailing her legs. But savvy filmmakers can see in cuts and savvy fans can see in cuts where maybe, just maybe, that second stage of this also got a little screen time in there. So just kind of saying that for the debate, let it begin. But jump in on it. I don't care. None of that matters. I love Return of the Living Dead. It comes in at number 17. Now, coming in at number 16 is one that just this year got one of the best 4K restorations that I have ever seen of any movie. I am talking Re-Animator from 1985. Mad scientist Herbert West discovers a serum that brings the dead back, but with some grisly consequences. This is a Lovecraftian horror. I love Lovecraftian cosmic horror. This one, though, brings the horror down to earth a little bit. It is gory. It is hilarious. It's outrageous. It's sexy. We have the giving head situation here. 25 gallons of fake blood used in this movie. It is a cult classic like no other. You have Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton. I'm a huge Barbara Crampton fan. Just those two together are gold. And Re-Animator, one of my favorites, one of the best of the 80s, one of the best horror films ever. It comes in at number 16. Now, we've gone way too long without any of my second favorite director of all time's movies. That's John Carpenter. Spielberg is my first. But we can't go any further without talking about The Fog from 1980, coming in at number 15. You have Antonio Bay, a coastal seaside town haunted by spirits of lepers who were betrayed and killed in a shipwreck off the coast. It's Carpenter's great ghost story with so much atmosphere. I'm big on atmosphere in movies, especially horror movies. I am big on small town horror. I like old-fashioned ghost stories. This brings them all together perfectly. Misty, dreadful, gothic revenge, all of it. But now Carpenter did reshoot the film after test screenings in this to add more scares. So he had to go back and reshoot a lot because he was relying maybe just too much on the atmosphere and everything. He had to go throw some more scares. They work seamlessly, beautifully. The Fog, Tom Atkins, Jamie Lee Curtis, Adrienne Barbeau. Mwah. The Fog is awesome. It had to be on this list. Comes in at number 15. Now, I fully expect to catch some grief for the fact that this next one is this low, but I don't consider it this low. This is a knife fight of movies. I mean, this is the best of the best of the best, and some of the ones that you guys are going to consider the best may not even be on here. But I am going to 1980 for The Shining. And anybody that knows me knows that I love this movie. As a filmmaker, I know every in and out. I gush about how this film was made, how it was shot. I know the lenses that were used, the cameras. You got those Zeiss super speeds. I know how Kubrick framed stuff up, all kinds of stuff. I know everything. I've studied this movie to death. I love it. Okay, you've got Jack Torrance that takes the job as the caretaker at the Overlook Hotel and slowly loses his mind to possession, isolation, all of that stuff. Again, Kubrick's masterpiece here. Dread, surreal imagery, that isolation, the way he shoots it. Shelley Duvall got kind of beat up on this. Kubrick was very hard, very demanding. Made her do one particular scene 127 times. Verge of a nervous breakdown. But man, the performances he pulled out of them were incredible. The Shining, eerie, creepy, perfect to this day. I love it. Don't care what Stephen King says about it. It comes in at number 14. Now, number 13 on this list, again, some of you are going to be like, how is this low? Because this comes from partly one of my favorite director of all time, Steven Spielberg, teaming up with Tobe Hooper for Poltergeist from 1982. Suburban family, you got your haunted house thing going on here. Angry spirits led by a creepy tagline of "They're here," which is still ubiquitous throughout our pop culture today. Spielberg storytelling meets Tobe Hooper scares for this blockbuster horror. Now, I will say, as a filmmaker, I spot Spielberg all over this. Honestly, much more than Tobe Hooper. Guys, if you don't know, Jaws, Spielberg had to cut Jaws down a lot because he went for gruesome, gory horror that he had to cut out of it. So he was no stranger to doing that. He could do that just fine. And the whole setups of shots and everything, I see them both. I see a lot of Spielberg. I don't care. I don't care that there's a rumored curse. I hate the fact that people, prematurely lost their life in, this movie and they tied it back to it. All of that just adds to the cult legend around Poltergeist. It is an incredible film. So well done. A lot of people poo-poo it as family horror. It is legitimately scary. Let's talk about trees eating kids out the window. I'm still scared looking out my window to this day because of this movie and Salem's Lot. That's just how it is. Poltergeist from 1982 comes in appropriately at number 13 on this list. Now, number 12 on this list is probably my favorite werewolf movie of all time. I'm going to have to really seriously look at them and do a fresh ranking this year for you guys. But I'm going right here with Silver Bullet from 1985. Stephen King, that small town horror, he does it so well. Him and Carpenter both. You've got Corey Haim in here as a young boy in a wheelchair who discovers a werewolf is terrorizing his town. Stephen King makes this great. He's so great at blending Americana, small town, family drama, and horror and creature features. That's what he does here. You got Corey Haim in this when he was just 14, Carrie in the lead, but Gary Busey with a very underrated performance in this, one of his best ever. I still like the werewolves in here. This was based on The Cycle of the Werewolf, a story by Stephen King. Love Silver Bullet, love everything about it. It comes in at number 12. Now, number 11 is a high mover this year, and really last year it had just been so long since I had seen it. It was further down. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, to be honest with you, because From Beyond from 1986 is one of the best horror films I have ever seen. Oh man, you have Barbara Crampton and Jeffrey Combs again, switching places this time. This time she's kind of the mad scientist and he's the other one trying to survive, even though he starts out as a scientist in this. Scientists use a machine to open portals to other dimensions by stimulating, the pineal gland in the head, and we still really don't know what that thing does. We do know that it stimulates our sexual urges, which is very much explored in this movie with, you've got Brian Usna producing here, you got Stuart Gordon, and all of this. It is super Lovecraft. It is maybe one of the best Lovecraftian horror films ever. You've got body horror, super kinky, naughty weirdness in this. Barbara Crampton's dominatrix outfit kind of caused some shockwaves on set. She loved it. She actually wore it to a Halloween party later. And because this was such a cult film at the time, people didn't know what the hell it was from, which I find hilarious today because this thing has beautiful documentaries, beautiful 4K restorations all over the place. Vinegar Syndrome, 88 Films. This is an iconic, awesome film, a must watch. From Beyond comes in at number 11. All right, we are into our top 10, and boy, you're talking fighting in here to get in a top 10 of a list like this. But to kick off the top 10, I can't think of anything better than going Carpenter again with some Rowdy Roddy Piper and 1988's They Live. Masterpiece of a film. It's going to be the subject of a documentary style video that I am doing here soon for spooky season, and it is incredible. Roddy plays Nada, a drifter who discovers aliens are controlling humanity, and they're like hidden under wearing basically fake human faces, all that kind of stuff, but they're controlling humanity with subliminal messages everywhere. John Carpenter goes straight satire that has twisted and turned from one side of the target to the other nowadays. It also has one of horror's most famous fight scenes between Roddy Piper and Keith David, one of my favorite underrated actors of all time. The fight goes about 6 minutes. It might be the longest in cinema history. The alley brawl is famous. We have One Who Sees here. They Live. You have to see it. I love that, just that terror under the surface. And I love Roddy Piper ad-libbing some of the greatest lines in cinema history. He is here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and he's all out of bubble gum. They Live comes in at number 10. Now, at number 9 on this list is my favorite haunted house film of all time, based on a true story. You can argue amongst yourselves on that, but I'm going 1979's The Amityville Horror. This is about the Lutz family who moves into a haunted house on Long Island, and they flee the house, leaving everything behind after only 28 days. That's all they lasted. It's great. It was marketed as a true story. There's definitely true elements in here. There were murders that took place in the house, the DeFeo murders, all of that definitely happened. And that helped it terrify audiences. Listen, to say based on a true story, you only need a little bit of it to be based in fact. They definitely have at least that much. The Lutz family has gone through a lot back and forth since this, but man, I don't care how you slice it. This movie is so well done, so atmospheric, so unsettling, and there are a lot of elements that ring very plausible to this movie. Documentaries on this will make this even more unsettling. The Amityville Horror, just one of the best ever. It comes in at number 9. Now, at number 8 on this list is one that a lot of you will fight me on, and I'm going to tell you, the only reason it's this low is because some people don't consider it straight out horror. I think they're wrong. I think it's the greatest creature feature maybe ever made. It's at least one of the top 2 or 3. I am talking about Jaws. Now, if you don't consider this a horror movie, I would counter with the fact that you could say that this is a slasher film. He's got his own music that shows up the same as in Halloween, the same as in Friday the 13th, all of that kind of stuff. And this thing is incredible. It helped coin the term blockbuster. Of course, you got a killer shark, Bruce the Shark, who terrorizes a beach town, also somewhat based on a true story, forcing the sheriff and a scientist to get together with Captain Quint, a hunter, and team up on this one to stop it. Spielberg, this thing almost wrecked his career. Instead, it made his career one of legend. Combine that with John Williams' score. This movie changed cinema forever from the horror thriller genre. And the mechanical shark, of course, famously broke down a lot. That doesn't make it any less scary. One of the best speeches in history, written by John Milius, performed by Robert Shaw in one take, drunk. Man, this movie is absolutely incredible, flawless, one of the best pieces of film ever made right here. Jaws comes in on this list at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is one that may shock some of you out here. I don't care. I think it's the best of this series. And I just think it's one of the best slasher films ever made, period. And that is Friday the 13th, the final chapter from 1984. Jason returns in this one for one of the series' bloodiest and raunchiest, it has the most nudity in it by far, films. You have a young Tommy Jarvis in this, played by Corey Feldman. It's got brutal kills, strong pacing, lots of nudity, beautiful people. You got the Doublemint twins in here. You've got an iconic ending. You've got the Feldman power going about it. You've got multiple POVs, great characters in this one. You see it from different perspectives. That adds a lot to it. The MPAA forced multiple cuts of this movie, which angers people like me. I hate censorship in movies. I long for the day we get the uncensored 4K of this. Fingers crossed that happens at some point. I think this is perfect Friday the 13th filmmaking, and I think it is perfect 80s slasher gold. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, just an absolute epic film. It comes in at number 7. All right, coming in at number 6, you know it had to be here somewhere. If you've been waiting on it, we have finally arrived at Elm Street with Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984, Wes Craven's iconic classic here. Freddy Krueger, a burned child killer, stalks teens in their dreams. That part was based on a true story, which makes this even scarier because Wes Craven read a story about all these people in this same area who were in perfect health just dying in their sleep, in their nightmares, which is pretty messed up. Wes Craven here fused sort of slasher terror and the supernatural together, which hadn't really been kind of done this way before. Just absolute perfection. Robert Englund embodies everything that Freddy is, was, and would become, and that iconic status of his that's still going today. You got Johnny Depp's first movie and his death scene, which required, wait for it, 500 gallons of fake blood. That is an insane amount of blood. You talk about throwing something against the wall and see what sticks. Nightmare on Elm Street is an absolute classic. It comes in at number 6. All right, at number 5, I'm ready to take my beating again, but I will stand here and fight and defend 2007's Trick or Treat. Yes, I think it belongs this high. I think it is a better anthology than Creepshow. And fortunately for me, this is the other film that Dread Central and Bloody Disgusting and Ain't It Cool News compared my movie to. And I dig that so much because it is an anthology of Halloween tales, which makes it even cooler. They're all connected by a mysterious pumpkin-headed Sam. Maybe he's Sam Hain, Samhain, if you want to get technical on how to pronounce it. We say Sam Hain here in the United States. Why is it great? Because it is the ultimate Halloween movie. There may be other movies that take place on Halloween. This is one of the Halloweeniest ever right here. It's fun, it's scary, endlessly rewatchable. One of the best 4Ks I've ever seen right here. But this movie actually sat on the shelf for 2 years before its release because they were just going to bury it. And now is a cult Halloween classic, and people are clamoring, including myself, for a sequel. Do it. This is one of my favorite horror films of all time, and I think it is absolutely one of the best. It earns its place here in the top 5 all time. Trick or Treat, baby. All right, we are up to number 4, and man, this is where it got hard. This top 5 and 10 was just hard to move stuff around. But this movie, it was already like my number 2 vampire movie of all time. It moved up because I introduced my son to it in this past year, and he loved it. And it is now one of his favorite horror movies. He's a big horror fan. One of his favorite horror movies of all time, and mine, Fright Night. I love saying it every time. Chris Sarandon doing that, I just absolutely love it. In this, you got a cool story here. You've got the small town horror a little bit. You've got some Hammer film vibes. You got some comedy. A teen realizes that his suave new neighbor, played by Chris Sarandon, is in fact a vampire. But there's just one catch. He's killing people and nobody believes him. So why is it great? Because it is a perfect mix of filmmaking. It's got horror, it's got humor, and practical effects that may be second all time only to The Thing. They are that level good. Fright Night is incredible. Chris Sarandon's makeup alone would take up to 8 hours while filming. You have no idea how labor intensive that is, how impressive that is. It has Hammer horror roots, which I love. Classic Universal horror roots, which I love, the small town horror, suburban horror, all of that wrapped up in a nice 80s package. Fright Night is incredible. Another incredible 4K right here. I love this film. This poster scared the tar out of me when I was a kid in the video rental stores. But man, this is one of the best ever, and sharing it now with my son, passing it forward, you gotta love that even more. Fright Night, for real, comes in at number 4. Now, number 3 is one that I saw live when it premiered, because technically it was made for TV. And we are talking 1990s It. Oh man. This was a TV miniseries that threw every television heavyweight at it. You had Harry Anderson in this. You had John Ritter in this. This movie had everybody that you could think of. John Boy Walton, I always just love to call him that. If you don't know who that is, look that up. I'm not going to tell you his name because I just dated myself. But a TV miniseries where childhood friends face off against Pennywise, the demonic clown haunting their town. Why do I love this? Why is it so great? Because it is the best small town horror movie ever made. The whole town is it in some way. The movie says that. So does the book. This has Lovecraft horror roots to it. Cosmic, ancient, evil, heaven versus hell, horror, evil. Like, Pennywise is a clown, yes, but he is really an ancient evil from another dimension, a hell dimension. And he can become anything that you feared the most, but he has to live by the rules of that thing that he becomes. In the book, he actually becomes Jaws. He actually becomes a giant shark. He becomes Jaws. He can become anything, but he is bound by cosmic law to kind of live in the rules. So if he becomes a werewolf, he could die by a silver bullet. That kind of thing. It's not explored as much in the movie, but just a little bit with the silver stones that they kill him with and different things like that. This movie, faith and kids. Now, I don't normally like movies where kids are targets or anything bad happens to them, but this movie makes kids the heroes too. They fight back. It shows that anyone with faith, belief, and courage can fight back against evil. That is a great message. Tim Curry improvised some of the scariest and most traumatic things in this movie. Just props to him. This movie is absolutely incredible. I think it beats anything they've tried to remake. Flawless victory. It is absolutely awesome. It comes in at number 3. And before we get to our top 2 on the list, I do have a couple of honorable mentions here. I do have a couple things that I would like to talk to you about. And The Exorcist. No, it's not on my list. The Universal Classic Monsters. See, I see these as just being kind of like above and beyond a list like this. They're a go without saying type of movie. The Exorcist, I recognize it's a great film. I own a beautiful set of it. Do you see this? I recognize it's a great film. A lot of people think it's one of the best horror movies ever. I don't like it. I like the movie fine. I have the problem that it's based on a true story. I know about the true story. I have a problem with things with kids. I'm a person of faith. It's like, and I know these things could happen. I believe they could happen. This movie is just very disturbing to me on a personal level, so I don't enjoy watching it. So I recognize the incredible filmmaking of it, but it is not going to be on my personal list. But the Universal Monsters, they're the foundation. They kind of go without saying. There's other movies, the same thing with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I actually prefer Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Of course, I know Carolyn and I know Bill Moseley, so that does a little bit, but I love the comedy. The original feels like a dark, basically kind of real-life snuff film type thing, and it's not something I care to watch again and again. And while I recognize it's a really damn good film, it's not on my list. So I wanted to mention some of that. Also, you're not going to find Alien, because I had to rule out some way things like, I think of Alien first as sci-fi, as a sci-fi movie because of space and everything else. It's just how I have to sort it out in my mind. The same thing with Predator. I consider Predator a horror, sci-fi, action movie. It's too many genres blended together. So in order to cut it to 31, I had to leave those out. Alien, incredible movie. Aliens, incredible movie. Look for those. Look for those with Predator on an upcoming another list, and some of the best creature features and iconic creatures of all time. Absolutely love them. Now that the honorable mentions are out of the way, let's get to number 2 on the list. We had to go there, baby. Of course, John Carpenter's Halloween from 1978. Michael Myers, The Shape, the Boogeyman, he is here. He's supernatural, by the way. I don't care what you try to do to undo that. He escapes an asylum and stalks babysitters in Haddonfield. Why is it great? John Carpenter is a master at this. Slasher masterpiece, invented the modern formula for slasher films. Of course, we all know the story of Michael Myers. They had no money. The Michael Myers mask was a spray-painted William Shatner mask. I think that's funny. I love William Shatner. But this movie is absolutely iconic. Jamie Lee Curtis establishing herself as a scream queen. I love this movie. He's supernatural. It has the fall vibes, even though it really wasn't fall and all that kind of stuff. I don't care. It just sucks you in with atmosphere. So well done. Iconic film. Halloween, you see anything you like? I do. It comes in at number 2 on this list. And that just leaves number 1. And number 1 is The Thing from 1982. John Carpenter again, and of course you have Kurt Russell in here, one of my favorite all-time actors. Now this is a movie that I have famously said I put off watching in its entirety and giving it its fair chance for many years. My dad, my late father, would try to get me to watch this movie, and I had seen it in bits and pieces and seen it many times and just never absorbed it, paid attention to it. And I don't know why, because Carpenter has always been a favorite of mine, and so is Kurt Russell. I don't know what it was, but about a year ago, it just clicked, and I cannot get enough of this movie. It is going to be the subject of my first deep dive documentary for the channel here on movies, and I cannot wait to get into The Thing. John Carpenter holding down the first 2 spots on this list, 1 and 2, well earned. He also has They Live, so he's got a few in the top 10 here. Antarctic researchers faced a shape-shifting alien that can become anyone. It's paranoia-driven horror here. Even though there's a gory sci-fi horror creature there, and some people will say, well, you don't have Alien on this list. Look, if you didn't show the ship at the beginning of this, really, like, it would just be a creature feature horror, right? All of Alien takes place in space. So that is very different. You have Rob Bottin, who was just like 21 or 22 years old, doing the makeup here, worked so much he put himself in the hospital. It was worth it, though. This movie flopped at the time. People didn't give it a chance like I didn't. And maybe that was going on then, and so I didn't give it as much of a chance. I don't know. It is a flawless classic, and you can just deep dive into it forever, which I will do. It comes in on this list, though, at number 1. And that is what I have for you, my 31 favorite horror films, best horror films of all time. Man, this was an ultimate horror countdown. I am trying to see if there's anything that I missed. When you're going from gothic castles to masked slashers to haunted houses to killer sharks, you're going all over the place. It shows you just how diverse horror can be. So many subgenres. You can make top 30 lists probably of a bunch of different subgenres. Horror is so universal, and that's fitting because Universal kind of started it all. Which one of these is your favorite? What did I not put on the list that you would put on the list? Let me know. And next year, maybe it will make it, as we'll do this each year for spooky season. I love horror movies, and I love talking them with you. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel so much. If you want to help support the channel even more, you can join my Patreon. Below, you'll get uncensored videos on my Patreon of every video I put on the channel. More of my uncensored thoughts, images where we can't put on here, special members only videos over there, 4K review videos over there, and so much more. Get your name and lights here on every single video, and everything goes back into the channel, and I really do appreciate it. But until next time, Be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.
I know.